Oh, how's it going, guys? Happy Friday from the Midwest. Happy Friday from my family to your family. This is a beautiful Friday, actually, because here in the Midwest, it's starting to cool down, and we got hey James, welcome. But yeah, here in the Midwest, it's getting down into in terms of Fahrenheit, it gets to about in the 40s at night. They just started to this week, and in Celsius, that's between 4 and 5 degrees Celsius. So it's nice and chilly. It's I would consider this weather to be perfect camping weather. If you're into camping, I personally love camping, and my family loves camping. So I'm going to try to get us out and into nature sometime in the near future. Okay. So yeah, up in Canada, I bet. Hey, Dan, I bet in Canada it is getting. It's starting to get that cooler weather. The fall season is arriving, and it feels really good. I just love. I don't have anything against any of the seasons. I really like all of the seasons. And I'm really fortunate that I live in a place that gets all 4 seasons. I know not everybody likes all 4 seasons, but I'm a fan. I kind of like, every 3 months, I'm looking for some kind of change. So it's starting to get into the fall weather, and we are just having some cool fall weather. I'm gonna have to get out and go camping. I like it whenever it gets cold, or kind of like it's not even cold. It's kind of just like the autumn chilly feeling in the evening. And it makes the campfire to where, if it's too hot, if it's really hot outside, you don't even really want to build a campfire, but you want a campfire, but you don't want the heat. And so it kind of evens out. It makes it really nice. So I'm looking forward to doing some of that in the near future. Today, first of all, I just want to thank you guys for being here. Just as a few reminders before we get started today, my book, A Practical Guide to Breathwork, it's coming out, and it's available for pre-order on Amazon, and it's going to be out September 29th. And if you want to get the paperback, it is available. It'll be available that whole week, so you can do an early order as well. So all good stuff there. I think you're really going to like the book. I hope you like the book at least. I only put my blood, sweat, and tears into it. Basically, the book is essentially it's the book that I wish I would have had. It's kind of a guide that I wish I would have had when I started this whole thing. There's a lot of different schools of thought in breath work, and there are conflicting voices, and there's some things that are confusing. And so what I try to do in this book is I wrote it so that it was almost like I'm just sitting there with you, trying to give you some direction. And the first part of the book is about kind of what I consider the modern human condition, where our biology, guys, and our physiology are at odds with much of what we have in the modern world. So it causes problems. And the second half of the book is just basically how to do breath work, how to build your own breath work practice, how to read and write breath work notation. So you can do all that. Tons of different styles of breathing techniques that are included in this book. Basically, I'm trying to empower anybody that reads the book with the ability to do what they want to with their breath. So, okay, I need to calm down, or I need to energize, or I need to stay focused, need to get in that flow state. Okay, there's different techniques that I give you for each thing. I want to meditate. I want to become a better athlete. I want to feel stress less. All those things I cover in the book. And basically, I think of it as like, if I do take clients, And I may have some clients watching now. I do a lot of online coaching, but not everybody can afford that, and I understand that. But what I'm hoping is that with this book, it's like getting a written form of my coaching. And so when you read it, the cool thing is the first half is covering the physiology and kind of the story, and then but you don't have to finish that part before you start the breath work. Day one, you get the book and you can start doing all the different breathwork techniques. So anyway, that is coming out later this month. As a consequence, I am going to have other breathworkers on the YouTube channel. You can pretty much plan on every single day the week of the 29th. So not next week, but the week after that. Every single day I'm going to do a live, and I'm going to do some live breath work pretty much every single day. And it's going to be different styles, different techniques. So we've got a lot of stuff to look forward to, all kinds of good stuff happening. For me, I'm just having a great time with it. And I appreciate you guys coming along for the ride. So today I'm going to be covering a few different things. I have had some really cool emails come in, and I am going to address some of those. I've basically some questions. I want to thank everybody on my Patreon for keeping me going. And if you haven't joined the Patreon club, basically it is a monthly club where for just a very small monthly donation, I deliver to you new breathwork sessions geared around all kinds of different things. And whenever you join, you have access to the entire catalog. So check out Midwestern Method on Patreon. Okay, enough of that. Enough about that. Let's see, I've got different emails here that some of them I said, hey, I'm going to answer your email on air Friday. So here we go. So I've got a few of them I'm going to read, and then I've had multiple people ask me, and people ask me all the time about this, but especially in the past couple of weeks, they want to know, what is my health routine? How do I keep up my health? Do I have any health issues? Right? Am I just am I like this deity that walks around without any health issues? Or, hey, maybe I have a few health issues that I have to think about too. We're going to talk about that in a little bit too. But first, I want to address Sophia's email. Let's see. Hey, Jesse. First, I want to say thank you for all your great content on YouTube as well as your live streams. Awesome. Thank you. All of your insight has been very helpful and interesting, and I've followed for quite some time now. You said in the latest live that it's okay to email you questions. Yes, it is okay to email me questions. And if you guys have any questions, I'll take a look if I have time. I've got a podcast interview after this. It's a hard set 3 o'clock. So, but if you have some questions, you can always put them in the box here as well. But let's take a look at this one first. I've been trying to get serious into Wim Hof breath work, okay, and cold training for a long time. But whenever I do, I feel great for a few sessions, and then I get sick. I've started out very slowly each time and not push myself too much, but I'm fatigued due to chronic stress, and I've been dealing with this for years. I know that Wim Hof method would help me in the long run, but I can never stick with it long enough to get into those benefits, since I get sick for a week or a few weeks, and then I'm anxious about trying it again because I'm getting sick and it's setting me back in general. I guess my body is just super sensitive to any kind of stress, but I also really want to get out of this vicious cycle. I don't blame you. I have the same problem with exercises and just about everything. Oh my God. Okay. I want to do so many things, but my body gets in the way. Okay, we're going to talk about that attitude here in just a minute, but let's see here. I was wondering if you have any thoughts on any suggestions on how to find balance in challenging your body enough to get more resilient and healthy in the long run, but not enough to get sick in the short term. Currently, I'm just here longingly looking forward to being able to challenge myself, both with breath work and cold training, but I'm just not sure how to do that. Once again, thank you for everything you do. Kind regards, Sophia. Hey, Sophia, thanks again for that email. Let's talk a little bit about this. This is actually a common problem. So if many people watching probably can relate to, maybe not necessarily Wim Hof method, but I know I've gotten lots of emails over the years about getting sick. In fact, In fact, I've made a few videos about getting sick while trying to practice Wim Hof method. And hey, what's the deal? So one of the things I always remind people is to look at yourself holistically. Okay, so it's very easy sometimes to laser focus on one thing and to forget that you are a holistic being, a very full individual with all kinds of things going on in your biology, your physiology, your psychology, and they all interact with each other. And so it's easy sometimes to forget that. Now, it sounds like Sophia, she said, even with exercise and all sorts of things, she seems to be getting sick, and that is getting in the way of her making any progress. And it is a vicious cycle for a lot of people. They get into something, they have something that holds them up, and then they feel like they have to start over and over again. Oh, and it never ends, right? So, okay, so let's talk about this for a minute. Now, I am a proponent of small changes over time pay off. Okay, small changes over time pay off. So in order to know where you need to make changes, first of all, I would take a look at your whole life. Okay, take a look at the lifestyle that you live. And here are the things I would look at before looking at trying something like Wim Hof method or even exercise. Okay, before, if those are things that seem to be roadblocks for you, let's step back and take a look at the other things that are going on in your life. My first question to you would be, what is your sleep habits? So how are you sleeping? Are you sleeping? Are you providing yourself with enough time to sleep? Is this something, because when it comes down to it, sleep is going to be a foundational aspect of your whole life. And if you're not getting enough sleep, I don't care if you're eating right, exercising with perfect form, doing Wim Hof method, doing breath work of any kind, sauna, all these other biohacks. I don't care what you're doing. If you're not getting enough sleep, that is going to pretty much, that's going to limit your capabilities, and it's going to most likely just kind of ruin your life. and the thing is, you may not even know that, right? You may not even notice. It might be something where it's like, well, I feel, and actually I've known a lot of people, and I've had clients like this, where they believe, hey, I only need 5 hours sleep a night. I only need 5 hours of sleep a night. And I honestly, yes, it's possible, the human biome, we have so much variety in our species that yes, there are some people that need more and less sleep, but the vast majority, vast majority it's going to be 7 to 9 hours. And most likely it's going to be right around the 8 hour. You're probably going to need 7 or 8 hours of sleep, bare minimum. Okay. Some people I know, and some people I've trained, 6 hours seems to work, but you're always going to want to shoot for that 7 or 8 hours of sleep. And we should try to make that sleep as productive as possible. And what I mean by that is we should try to get some deep sleep. We should try to have REM sleep. It shouldn't be panic sleep. So one of the things that I talk about in my book, but also something I'll talk about right now, I tell all my clients, is the story about my wife. And she was having this issue. And when you have stress in your life, and believe me, my wife and I, we've gone through a lot of different stressors. Life has thrown a lot of things our way, and someday I'll go into great depth maybe and tell you more about that. But I don't have all day to tell you all about these crazy things that have happened to our family. So, but my wife and I, we deal with this, and she believed that she only needed 5 hours of sleep. She was running and doing exercise. She was a graduate student, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, trying to fast and trying to eat right. And it was just not, there was just something wasn't right. She always feeling anxiety, all these things. And so and husbands out there, believe me when I tell you, I made the observation that my wife was mouth breathing in her sleep. And I advised her to tape her mouth shut. Yes, I didn't get killed by my wife after I advised her to tape her mouth shut. Now, I didn't say, hey, I said it politely, right? But I said, what is happening, right? And of course, when you're married to a breath worker, you're going to get all kinds of advice like this. But I said, no, listen, what's happening here is it's likely you are unable to. She felt like she couldn't sleep longer than 5 hours a night. She just couldn't do it. It just wasn't going to happen. She just kept waking up and then it was done, right? Couldn't get back to sleep. So I said, let's try taping your mouth shut. And she, of course, felt like that was a little crazy. And it's not something it's not the first thing that a person would want to do, right? You might wake up and you feel like, I don't know, like someone's trying to suffocate you. But what we did was she taped it just right on the lips, right on the front of the lips, not the whole thing, right? But just right on the front of the lips. And within a night, and literally, it was a literal overnight thing. But overnight, the next day, she woke up and she felt energized. She felt relaxed. She felt less stressed throughout the day, and she was hooked. And after that, she's been taping her mouth shut. Now, does she often forget after a while? Yeah. And then guess what? She has a bad night, a few weeks, maybe. I'm not going to sit here and just like say, hey, tape your mouth shut every single night. But she always goes back to it. She's like, man, why did I ever stop doing that? So when it comes down to it, I would highly recommend, Sophia, first and foremost, look at your sleep. Okay. The sleep is insanely important. Make time for it. If you're a mouth breather, fix that issue, especially in your sleep, and make sure that you're getting plenty of sleep. The next thing that's going to be foundational is diet and hydration. So those are just really essentials that are easy to overlook, especially I find in the biohacking world. Oftentimes we get so focused on the biohacks, right? I'm going to wear the blue light blocking shades. I'm going to do Wim Hof method or sauna or all these other things. But at the same time, I'm not paying attention to what I'm putting in my body every time I eat. Okay. So think about that. And it may be that you have a food sensitivity. It may be that there's some kind of a diet change that you should think about doing. It could be also some people get into fasting. I don't know. You didn't mention anything about that, Sophia, but if you are into fasting, I would say try to just do one biohack at a time and see how it goes, and then maybe add something after maybe 3 or 4 months of happy, healthy life. All too often, especially now, in the West, we're awful about this. If one biohack is good, well, then I need to do all the biohacks. And then, that would be better, right? And it's not the case. There's so much biodiversity in humanity that you really do need to experiment. And I never liked hearing that. I've always hated hearing that because I just want you to tell me the answer, right? I just want tell me the things to do, and I want to plug that in, make it happen, and boom, I'm done. But I would recommend experimentation. Now, Sophia, let's suppose you fix your sleep. If you have any sleep issues, you are hydrating appropriately, depending on your exercise level and the temperatures that you live in and all those things. Make sure you're getting your electrolytes and things like that. Nutrition should be there. Let's suppose those things are solid and you've got those taken care of. The two things you were talking about is you want to incorporate Wim Hof method and you want to incorporate exercise. Well, I agree. I think those things would be great. So here's what I would suggest to do. When it comes to Wim Hof method, wake up every morning and do 3 rounds of Wim Hof method breathing. And then when it comes to your cold exposure, here's it. Here's the thing I'm going to tell you to do. Do a regular warm shower and just finish your showers with 30 seconds of cold water. Okay. And I wouldn't say this for everybody, but if you've been having this problem where you get sick, what I want to do is I would like to see what that does. Okay. A real base level, not pushing yourself further. Just all you do is some basic Wim Hof method breath work in the mornings. And then it doesn't even have to be right afterwards, but you take a regular hot shower. You just shower all the way. And then you turn it, and you don't even have to turn it all the way super, super cold, but turn it to where it's a challenge to stand there in that shower for 30 seconds. Okay. There's been research that shows that even as little as 30 seconds, and it doesn't even have to be that cold, but even as little as 30 seconds can it reduce the number of days that a person missed from work due to sickness. So there's an awesome biohack right there. And you're doing the Wim Hof method. It's just that you're not, I mean, it's not like you're jumping into ice baths. I get that. But so be it. So be it. The point is not, that's the thing. The point of the Wim Hof method is not to go show off and to take Instagram pictures. Yes, it's cool. Okay, I'll admit there's times there's pictures out there of me meditating in the snow or something like that. And it's not like I took that picture, right? And it's not like some random passerby was walking by and said, "Oh, I think I'll take this picture for him." I was like, "Hey man, take my picture," right? So I get it. But here's the thing. Do that, just that. If you're going to incorporate Wim Hof method, just do that for 30 days. Okay? No more than 30 seconds of cold. And then slowly after that, work your way up. Now, when it comes to cold exposure, this is normally the thing that causes people to get sick because they overdo it. And let me just explain that for just a minute, because the old school understanding of the cold is that the cold makes you sick, right? And then there's a whole new wave of people who understand this a little bit better, but then they're like, well, the cold doesn't make you sick. And the problem is neither of these things are correct, okay? It's not that the cold doesn't make you sick, and it's not that the cold makes you sick. What happens here is that the cold does challenge your immune system, okay? It is an immune system challenge. What that means is if you're in the cold, if it's cold enough, long enough, your immune system will kind of fade back, okay? It is weakened momentarily. And if you go too cold for too long, it's weakened for a lot. It can really become very weak, and it can take days for it to come back to its regular strength. So here's what we're trying to do. And this is the same premise that we use whenever we're exercising or when we're doing a lot of these, what we call eustress, okay? What we're trying to do is we're trying to provide just enough challenge, okay? Just enough challenge so that, okay, I've challenged you. Yes, for a little bit of time, that immune system is weakened, but it's not weakened very much at all, okay? It's a minuscule weakening. And then since it's barely even weakened, it can come right back faster. It can come back really fast. And the interesting thing we find in studies and in just in the hundreds, over 1,000 people I've trained in this, is that it comes back more resilient. So you not only, it's just like with a muscle, right? So let's just pretend if you went into the gym and you picked up the heaviest weight, and you tried to lift that heaviest weight, you would probably hurt yourself. But if you go to the rack and you pick up something that is lightweight and you do a lot of reps, okay, you start feeling the burn. What you've done is actually you've broken down that muscle. And for a little while, that muscle is weaker than before you gave it that stimulus. And that's why whenever you've exhausted a muscle, it actually is weaker. It's not that you don't have as much energy in your body. It's that the muscle itself has been broken down. Same thing happens with the immune system whenever we engage with the cold. So the real trick is engaging with the cold enough for long enough, but not too much, so that after we engage with the cold, we can come back more resilient. The next day we can do it again. We can come back more resilient, and then hopefully not push ourselves way too hard. But as we become more resilient, we'll also want to push ourselves a little bit more. I cover this in my ebook, A Practical Guide to Cold Training. That is an ebook that it's sold like crazy. And the reason for it is basically what I do is I break all this down and I give you basically a template for your training, because I don't want to see people, I I love the world of cold training. It's this amazing field, and it's this thing that's kind of starting to bloom now. And I also see a lot of people overdo it. So anyway, I not meaning to go on and on about this, Sophia, but I just wanted people to understand that it's easy to overdo it, and everyone is different because of our biodiversity. So for 30 days, just do 30 seconds of cold water at the end of your showers. And after that, assuming you haven't gotten sick again, then maybe add a few seconds, but go very slow. Same thing with exercise. Start with something very easy and work your way up. You don't have to get into, CrossFit on day one. You don't have to ever get into CrossFit, but maybe you do. I don't know. Anyway, that is one thing. The last thing I'm going to say about this email, Sophia, there are times when, if you're under an enormous amount of stress that you cannot control, there are times when it is better not to add any other stressors. So I don't know your situation, but there are times when training with eustress can just add to the overall stress, and it can lead to bad results. So if you're in a place where it's heavy stress, I don't know what your situation is, I would highly recommend keeping that in mind too, knowing that your nervous system only has so much that it can give. Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much again for that email. I really do appreciate it. And let's see here. Okay. I thought I had one more email, but I could be wrong. Let's see here. I'm seeing a bunch of stuff over here on the screen, so I'll get to that here in a minute. Another thing that I was asked about is my own personal health and my health routine. So my own personal health, and this is something that, anytime I talk about it, I just want you to understand that we all have things we're overcoming. We're all overcoming things. My big message that I really want everybody to understand is you are worth working on. And all I'm doing right now is I'm working on myself. I am naturally a big ball of anxiety and stress. Like literally ever since I was a kid, I've always been just a ball of stress. I have a lot of energy and it comes out in personality and things, but it's also an enormous amount of just overthinking things. And I even have psychosomatic issues where if I am afraid that I have some kind of an issue, I'll start to manifest it, like high blood pressure or something like that. So I've seen the power of the human mind in negative ways. And so I've really tried to focus on how to use it in positive ways. I've had a lot of people ask me about just the basic, what do I do with my health? Some health issues that I do have to think about is digestion. So I have a gastroenterologist that I go to, and I'm a big fan personally of testing. So if I can test things, I'd like to know where I stand. So when it comes to functional medicine, if you've never heard of functional medicine, it's basically, there's a few different ways you can do it, but essentially functional medicine is, the idea behind it is that you're testing certain markers in your body. So maybe it's a hormone, or maybe it's certain blood markers, or the amount of this kind of mineral or that kind of thing in your blood. And what you're doing is you're trying to parse out what's going on, and it gives you a better idea of what's happening in your body. I'm a big proponent of it. So, and actually I'm working with a company right now. I wish I could tell you the name of this company, but I have not yet got my results back from this company, and I want to make sure it's actually really cool before I say their name. They seem really cool, but before I say their name, I just want to, keep that on the down low until I know for a fact. So basically, I test a lot of things, and one of the things I tested, and I continue to test, is things that have to do with my digestion, because naturally I have acid reflux. It's something that I really that's one of the reasons why breath work is so important for me, is to constantly remind my autonomic nervous system to go into that rest and digest state, as opposed to being in this frantic, anxiety state where I get heartburn and all sorts of things. So that's one of the things that I always have to think about. So basically, when it comes down to it, and then I've always had borderline issues with blood pressure. So another things I always work on, and I've always, not always, but I have had to work on a lot, is, okay, I need to get my cardio in. I need to make sure that I eat heart healthy foods and really focus on those things. Well, both of those things, I am also helping with breath work, with biohacks and things like that, but I'm trying to live a holistic life around those issues. So basically, so people have asked, okay, so what do you do to stay healthy? And yes, I have lost weight. A lot of people have noticed that. So I have lost weight. It wasn't necessarily because I felt like I was, overweight or anything. It was just, I wanted to shed extra, any kind of body fat. And I feel like that's a good thing. I've also done it kind of accidentally because I've gotten into fasting. I do OMAD once a week. So, well, not OMAD. I'll do a 24-hour fast every single week. So 24-hour fast with a water fast. Now, occasionally I'll skip a week, but I always do a 24-hour fast. Unless I'm traveling or something crazy is going on, I'll do a 24-hour fast every Saturday. I'll have kind of a nice late lunch, and then I won't eat until Sunday lunch, and that seems to be working well for me. I do that for autophagy, but it also has made me lose weight. I also try to eat for my hormones. So I try to avoid things that are going to hurt my testosterone. So I eat a lot of green leafy vegetables. I eat a lot of eggs. I try to stay away from fatty meats, but occasionally I'll have a steak, or I haven't been able to eat chicken wings since I grew the beard. Because this thing, it just gets all nasty. But whenever I shaved, I did enjoy some chicken wings. So I try to just keep balance in my diet, but I do try to focus mostly on green leafy vegetables, things with fiber, and I try not to overeat. Now, those who know me, people who know me, know that one of my fatal flaws is that I am I guess I'm kind of a classic American in that my natural inclination is to overindulge. So if you give me a little bit of ice cream, I want to eat all of it. I want more. If you give me, if you have beer, I'll want to drink all of it. The natural inclination in my being is to overindulge. And so and of course, this led me down many dark paths in my life. But so one of the things that I have to do in my life is really try to work on self-discipline. And one of the things, if you follow me on Instagram, one of the things that I did is I stopped drinking coffee since March of this year. I stopped drinking coffee, and I've reduced my caffeine intake down to pretty much nothing. And then I went down to 0 caffeine for 3 weeks. And let me tell you, I was addicted. I was completely addicted to caffeine, and I knew it, but you know how it's really a socially acceptable thing in the United States to be addicted to caffeine. So I didn't like being dependent on that. And so I slowly weaned my way off, and then eventually I just said, okay, this is going to happen. So today I had my first cup of coffee in 3 weeks. I wanted to prove to myself that I didn't need it. Will I drink coffee tomorrow morning? Probably not. I might do decaf someday as well. It's weird. In the Midwest, I'm a Midwesterner. So part of me is like, why would you ever drink decaf? I don't know if it's a Midwesterner thing, but to me, I'm like, it just feels like you're paying the same amount for less product or something. I don't know. But anyway, the point is, I've had to fight, and I still have to fight the urge to overindulge. That's just my natural inclination, is to overindulge in everything I do. And so having control is one of the things that I've really had to work hard to develop. So I do weight training almost every day, 5 days a week. I'll do weight training, and I generally try to do some form of cardio every day, of course, for the ticker. I generally, when it comes to cardio, something you may or may not know about me, I have 2 torn meniscuses. So both of my knees have torn meniscuses, and I do a really good job of keeping them happy by maintaining mobility, exercises, stretches, and I generally am not impaired at all because of my knees. But I do try to keep my regular everyday cardio something that's either low impact on my knees, or I'll do row machine. I'm a big fan of row machine. I'm a big fan of the Vikings. So, okay, you're just getting to know me today. So I'm a big fan of Vikings, the TV show and all this stuff. And so I love to watch Vikings while rowing on a row machine because, I'm a Viking at that point, right? I can pretend that I'm on a Viking boat. But basically, or I'll listen to podcasts or things like that. But basically, when it comes down to it, I try to give myself 5 days a week, at least 45 minutes of cardio where I get my heart rate up above 150 and just keep it there. I want to keep that heart rate there. And then from there, sometimes I'll do like intervals where I go, really high, and then I'll bring it back down. But I want to keep my heart rate up as high as I can for a good long amount of time because, I'm always concerned about my heart, and obviously that's a very important muscle in your body. So I do weight training and I do cardio pretty much 5 days a week. Brandon made it. Thanks, Brandon, for being here. James, seriously, James, try it with the Vikings. And I love listening to Viking music, and when I was in Poland this past year with the Wim Hof method, we got into Viking stuff like crazy out there. A lot of Vikings fans out there. So I don't know. It's a fun thing. I'm a boy. I don't know. I'm just pretending and playing and having fun with life. So anyway, but that's essentially what I do. I try to sleep. I go to bed pretty early most nights. I'm a dad and I'm a teacher, and I train people in different time zones. So I need my sleep. So normally I'm in bed by 9 o'clock at night. and sometimes I sneak in a little early to even earlier than that. I just want to give myself enough sleep. And of course I want to keep my testosterone high and my cortisol low. So I'm trying to give myself as much rest time as possible. And I do ice bathing, of course. I do Wim Hof method. So I do that. And then I do generally before lunch, I will do about 5 minutes of slow breath work. I talk about that in my book, and essentially I'm doing some breath work to prepare my stomach, right? I want to tell my autonomic nervous system, dude, get ready for food because I'm going to need you to digest. And I want to make sure my autonomic nervous system is saying time to digest food. And I also try to do that before supper, or dinner. I say supper. A lot of times I think it's the Midwest. I'm sorry, guys. It's old timey. I know it is. But anyway, so I usually try to do some slow breath work before meals, just in general, just to make sure that I'm digesting well. And it's worked really well for me. I do take some supplements that I take and that I plan to continue to take. I do take creatine. I think that even if you aren't an athlete, or even if you aren't trying to gain muscle, creatine has so many benefits that it's also like a neural enhancer, and it does so many good things, and it's been proven safe. It's been studied more than any other supplement that I know of. So I take creatine. I do take, I've started taking colostrum. So I've just recently started taking colostrum, and I've known about this supplement for a long time, but recently I've made friends with people at the company Keon. I don't know if you follow my Instagram, you're going to see more Keon products because and then here's the thing. They reached out to me last month they had a cold thermo challenge. And I never really had heard of these people before. I had heard of Ben Greenfield. Apparently, he owns the company, but I really don't know much about Ben Greenfield, even to this day. I'm not really up on that. But anyway, I was so blown away at how nice these people are. And if you know me, if you know me, you know that niceness goes a long way with me. And they're incredibly genuine, and they were really willing to work with me, and like they were willing to put up with my goofiness and my forgetfulness. And I was like, what do I do again? No problem, Jesse. So I had never tried the products before, so I was like, let's try your products. You're so nice. I hope your products are as awesome as you people are. So I drank for my first coffee in months. I drank Keon coffee, and I gotta say it was good. And then I've started taking their colostrum. So their colostrum is goat colostrum. I'm not really sure exactly how that's any different than bovine colostrum, which is normally where colostrum comes from cows. But I've been taking that for my gut health. So gut health is really important to me. Let's see, and I take resveratrol. So resveratrol is that it's something I take to help avoid cancer and for just overall to slow down the aging process. And then maybe I'll do a video on that. I have been so busy getting this book out, doing podcasts and interviews, that I haven't been able to do my usual videos, and I apologize for that. So I'll be getting videos more normal, back to the regular schedule, hopefully in the next week or two. And then let's see, I also take ZMA, so zinc magnesium aspartate, and I take that before I go to bed every night. That is pretty much it. Yeah. Fish oil. I also take fish oil. So there you go. But also, instead of fish oil, a lot of times I just eat avocados, and I feel like I'm getting my omegas that way. So anyway, so that is to answer the question that a lot of people have been asking me. I have taken a lot of supplements over the years, and for a while I was taking just a pile of supplements. I was actually thinking of doing, I don't know if you've heard of the mukbang videos. I was thinking about doing a mukbang video for supplements. I took so many, but yeah, I've tried to reduce that down to just what I feel is really essential. And of course I try to get what I can in my diet, but yeah, so that's, let's see. Also, I take ashwagandha. So there's another ashwagandha or ginseng. I go back and forth. Anyway, okay. So that is basically my thing. I do heat therapy, cold therapy. I do all kinds of breath work. I do broccoli sprouts occasionally. I kind of go in cycles when it comes to broccoli sprouting. And try to drink as much kombucha as I can, do as much good stuff as I can for my gut. Fiber. So, okay. So let's see. I'm going to go back and take a look and see if there's any questions here. Looks like, let's see. Yeah. Russell says he stopped wearing his coat in the winter. I think that is a really good idea. Excuse me for just a second. I've got hey man. Okay. I have a podcast interview I have to do in just a second, so I got to get out of here. They're checking in with me. But yes, I think especially when it's getting cool out, I think it's a great idea to each day walk outside with minimal clothing. And in my book, I talk about, especially if you're trying to prepare yourself for serious feats in the snow, specifically your feet in the snow, start daily, start walking outside, get the regular, just like grassy ground underneath your feet and enjoy. Let's see. Let's see here. Russell, you've got a lot of things to say today. That's awesome. Yeah, some great. Let's see what tickles. Yeah, sometimes these things seem to tickle a little bit. Let's see here. question. I'm looking for question marks here. Um, Oh, Maddie McGuire, recovering from 2 dislocated knees means I've struggled to exercise properly this year. Yeah, I would say these breathing exercises have really helped me get through it. Thank you for playing a part in that. Well, hey, man, um, we got to help each other. And wow, 2 dislocated knees. Yeah, one of the things that we have to watch out for as people who are trying to improve their life with with biohacking, with exercise, and all these things is this: injuries can also cause people to have insane depressions, right? An injury can really be something that really throws you off. And just remember, except for very few, but there are some injuries where breathing is hard, but you can always breathe. Now, is it always going to be, power breathing and all these things? Maybe not. But guess what? There's a lot of other breathing techniques that are very powerful, and they can make incredible changes in your physiology and your biology. So yeah, remember, you can always breathe. And take a look at my book. I go through tons of breathing techniques for you. Let's see. Pseudonomer. To the day yesterday, it's been 5 weeks of do-it-yourself Wim Hof method for me every day. Average breath retention. He's going through his breath retentions. Awesome, man. Keep going. Let's see. Over classic to go deeper, which would you recommend? Oh, okay. So he's asking between the two courses. If you're trying to learn Wim Hof method, should you do Wim Hof method fundamentals on their website or the classic? Well, I would say if you're already doing I think both of them are awesome. And it's hard for me. It's really hard for me to answer this because you got to remember, whenever I first started Wim Hof method is when they came out with the classic. Like, it was new. And that's, to me, it has so much sentimental value because that's where it all started for me. But I would say it is worth the extra money. And if they're still doing the discount, which I'm not sure if they are, but if they are still doing the discount on the fundamentals, do it. Go ahead and get the fundamentals. I think you'll be happier that way, because if you've already been doing kind of a do-it-yourself, you'll enjoy the kind of the variety of the different things they offer in the fundamentals. So I think that would be better. I think you would like it better, at least. So what kind of meditation? When it comes to meditation, that's a big umbrella with a lot of different things underneath it. So there are religious styles, there are secular styles. I have a chapter over meditation, and I cover it in a way that you don't have to be spiritual or religious, or you can be spiritual and religious to apply this. So I didn't want to kind of, when it comes to meditation, I think a lot of times people kind of hijack it with their own personal views. And even though I have my own personal meditation that I do, I don't want to do that in my book. So I open it up. I provide you with 2 meditation styles when it comes to breathing. Okay. And the idea is, however it is you're going to meditate, however that is, you want to be able to clear your mind, and you want to avoid the chatter. That I don't care what you're doing. You're trying to be able to focus. Maybe you're in prayer. Maybe you're repeating a mantra. I even have a little section about how these things have been shown to affect meditation. So yeah, I try to keep it kind of in a general way, and I let you go your own direction with your meditation. Okay, I'm going to have to get off here, but I'm going to take one last question before I get out of here, and I'm going to be on another podcast for my book. So I've been doing the circuit today. Today I've been on Zoom a lot today. Let's see. Do you try to avoid tetany, or are you like whatever? Tyler, I like how you even posed that. Go ahead. That was pretty good. I am like, if I get tetany, I kind of like it. I kind of like tetany. And it's not, and here's the thing. I don't want you to think, if you're listening to this and you hear me saying I like tetany, I don't want you to feel like if you're not getting tetany, it's a bad thing. But I do like it. And it's because of this. When I get tetany, for me, when I am experiencing tetany, and for those of you who are not sure what tetany is, that's whenever you get if you're doing a superventilation, okay, so any kind of breathing technique that requires you to blow off more carbon dioxide than you're taking in. So Wim Hof method is probably the most common one that's practiced. Okay. So what happens is you get these involuntary muscle spasms and tightenings, and I used to call it mantis. I still call it mantis hands. I like mantis hands, but it's kind of like you kind of go like this, and even your face can get to where it's kind of numb and it won't do what you want it to do. Well, for me, the only times I've ever experienced tetany, which I've had a lot of times, but every time I experience tetany, I'm also incredibly deep. So I have this connection between tetany and going incredibly deep, feeling amazing. So generally for me, when I'm feeling tetany, it's also a time when I'm feeling amazing. So I like it. It's not bad for you. If it's something that you find to be uncomfortable, slow down your breathing, lengthen your exhale, and you should be just fine. It's not like it's something to be avoided, but it's also not like it's something to be sought after either. So, guys, I know I didn't get to everybody's questions. Thank you so much for being here. If I didn't get to your question, please feel free. You can post your question on whenever I'll upload. Actually, this video should be available tomorrow. You can post it underneath this video, or you can go to my website, midwesternmethod.com, and you can email me there. And I would be happy to read your email on the air, or if you don't want me to read it and you just want me to answer it for you on the air, I'd be happy to do that as well. But I really do appreciate you guys. Again, please go out there and be kind to one another. The world needs you now more than ever. And I wish you all a wonderful weekend. I'm going to be enjoying some of this cooler weather. Like I said, for my Celsius friends, it's going to be like down to 4 or 5 degrees this weekend. So for me, that's just perfect camping weather, or at least maybe I'll have a bonfire if I can't go camping. So guys, thanks so much. And look for more of my regular videos in the near future, but I am enjoying these live sessions. So plan on seeing me again soon. Guys, have a great weekend.